Hello there. Armanis here with another update. Today we're going to be looking at the weekly update, some of the changes that they've made. Um, this is going to be a bit of a rant, I'm going to tell you that up front. This last update, yesterday, when it dropped, personally me, I'm a little pissed off. I am actually more than a little pissed off. There are good parts. There are definitely some good parts. As you can see here, I'm showing off two things. A, the nighttime, and B, the dynamic lighting from the torches during the nighttime. You can see this during the day too, and you can do some amazingly beautiful things with this. I mean, just just amazingly beautiful. We checked out some stuff on stream last night. Anyway, let's turn this off. You hit the K menu, it'll bring this up. Turn off the night mode, and let's take a look around. As you can see, I've got torches all along my walls. They're all off right now because they do have particle effects between the smoke and the flame, and it does bog down at least my machine, but I don't have the greatest computer. But this looked absolutely amazing last night with all the walls lit up and everything. It really did look quite good. Down here I've got a blacksmith shop. This is new, and the same thing in here. Just eerie. Like I could see this in a survival horror game. The glow is just so good. The nighttime mode is kind of give or take, but the glow is amazing. One thing that is not good about them is there are no windows back here, so these are all the torches that are inside the blacksmith shop for his black blast furnace, just coming right through the wall. That's kind of meh. It's not necessarily something I like, but it is what it is. Now, a few other things that are updated. They added in survival mode. They changed the look of the barbarians a little bit. Other small things like that. Let's just go over a list of it real quick. There will be a link to the forum post where they talk about the updates more. So you can go and check that out yourself and watch the video yourself. But I'm just going to go over the highlights of things that I think are important. And I'm going to save survival mode for last because that's my biggest rant. As you saw in the K menu, they did have a button for removing fractured pieces. That was a very welcomed update, especially for somebody with a smaller computer like me. It, however, does not work on wood bits. I cannot remove these with this. So, yeah, that's kind of a bust that it doesn't work all the way. We got a lot of new blocks, and I'm gonna leave those pretty much for people to just check out on their own. I'll show one because this is the general idea of the blocks. Just slanted pieces, sloped pieces. We do have a smaller radius battlement here and a longer slope ramp. And this was a nice little update. This was needed. Instead of the usual 45-degree like the stairs here, to have that better slope, that was needed. And the smaller radius here, so you can uh, add little battlements, make the tops of your round towers the same as people are doing for the tops of these square towers. So that's a nice little they work on the startup crash, which I personally had to deal with. They worked on barbarian performance issues because they did bog things down. Um, Simple stuff, but very good, much quality of life. Even something as small as being able to change toolbars again in the G menu. That's something that is great. I like that. Now for the bad and the ugly. The survival mode, and we're actually just gonna I'm just gonna be talking about this. So let's just go back here. The survival mode, pretty much a completely useless feature. I opened it up, I turned it on, it loads you into the map with a few statues scattered around. And because it's survival mode and there's statues, and there's not much else going on right now, well, I threw in barbarians. And there was no point to it. You still instantly build, there was no resource gathering. Yes, you can die now. It's good that they are taking steps towards survival, and I'm glad they're looking into it. but it's not really anything that's useful right now. It's nothing that anybody's going to really be playing. And I find it irritating, extremely irritating, that instead of getting... I would rather wait for a fully featured survival mode. I would rather wait to have something more fleshed out, something with more to do, something with a reason to play it. Whoa, whoa. I paused you. Why did you start back up? I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna leave this in because I'm in the middle of my rant. I would rather have waited for a more fully fleshed out survival mode than what we got. There's no point to it. You don't actually even really worry about protecting the towers with traps or contraptions or walls so much, maybe a little bit, but the AI on the barbarians is so incredibly stupid. Something that I saw more than once, many times, is they're supposed to be attacking the statues. That's supposed to be their main goal. And say these doors were wide open, because I didn't really work on doors, they'd run up to this wall over here, they'd bash on it a little bit, they'd be right next to the door, they could see the statue through it, and then they'd turn around and they'd run away. And then at some point somebody else would come along, he'd bash this wall over here, he'd ignore the door, he'd ignore the statue, he'd run away. Their detection seems to be more radius based than line of sight based, which is counterintuitive, which makes them extremely dumb. And then all you end up doing is loading up a cannonball, going around the map and shooting them down. All it did is turn the game into a first-person shooter. You can't fly, and you can't place ropes with T. You have to use the actual rope tool, which I will say is it's a nice little update. I find it easier to take up a slot on one of my 4 bars and left click to place ropes. But that's just minor. That's just minor. As a matter of fact, too, in the survival mode, you can still switch to F8 mode. And you can't build in it. You can't use voxel hands. You can't build. You can't use voxel hands in either way. You can't build in this menu, but you can still use it to scout around, see where the barbarians are, and hunt them down. I played the survival mode, and I've mentioned this before, that is the thing I'm most looking for. I played for about 5 minutes, and I was done. I was bored. There was no point to it at all. Now, a few other things that I think that's the end of my rant. I need to check my brain real quick. No, that's the end of my rant on that. But the basic point I was getting towards for the survival mode, quote unquote, is even though I'm glad they're implementing it, even though I'm glad I'm working on it, they didn't put in anything that's really new or innovative. All they did was give you the ability to die in the same manner as you have in Space Engineers and take away your ability to fly. So you're running everywhere if you want to build. And instead of being able to build this far away, it's kind of more like Space Engineer Survival Mode, where you can only build a couple of blocks ahead of you. Maybe about this far. Maybe a little farther. Now, the ugly. We've gone through the good, we've gone through the bad. Here's the ugly. Some of you that have watched my videos might have seen before that this was a fully pointed roof. Not anymore. They say in the patch notes that they improve the structural integrity of roofs. If by improve they mean completely destroy the structural integrity of roofs, then they are correct. You might notice there are some support walls on the inside. And this is the worst part, is how glitchy this is. This side on the left, I was able to put back up. This side on the right, I absolutely cannot build this roof slant without those 2 supports on this side. It'll start breaking. It'll start busting itself apart, and I don't want to show you that because I'm tired of taking this down and rebuilding it. Absolutely cannot put the peak back on the top of this. It will fall in. It will collapse. So all these things that worked before the patch are broken. But it's alright, because we have a busted-ass survival mode that nobody is going to be playing right now. And that's the kind of things that irritate me. Usually Keen is a lot better about these things. I had a lot more faith in them than these sort of things. But unfortunately, this is the way it is in some of the other buildings. Randomly. Some of my larger buildings, this was a completely structurally sound building before. Guess what? Now not so much. And I could deal with this a little bit more. I obviously do have a lot more on the 2nd floor, so that's kind of understandable. But it's not like you can use pillars to support anything. These things cause more problems than they help. They will reduce structural integrity. And that's another thing that really is starting to irritate me a little bit about this game. I know it's early access, but that's counterintuitive. In the roof system, with that breaking, that's counterintuitive. I could fix these blocks, right? And I can go over to the other side of my end and show you. I have fixed these blocks. And I replace this, and I replace this, and I replace this, and I start replacing walls. And it's to the point I can't replace anything here without something else breaking. And that is irritating. So there's just so much irritating about this last update. Overall, I'm gonna give it the entire update as a whole a 4 out of 10. If I had to rate it, there are a lot of good things. The tearing rope is nice. The dynamic lighting is beautiful. The rope release hooks that you can research on your own for like the trebuchets and whatnot, and I'm sure other people have videos. Those have a lot of uses in the game, and it gives us more options in creative mode. But having more options in creative mode doesn't matter if so much else is broken in creative mode. Who wants to build a house that's going to fall on itself? Nobody. And it doesn't even... And it's a hit and miss thing. This is a small building with, you know, short walls, single rooms, and just for some reason the middle of the room decides that it's going to fall apart. Nothing falls on it, and these crumble just like the floor on the other side. It doesn't make any sense. And then you have something like this building over here where these first 2 blocks are 1 floor. This building was ready to crumble. There were parts of this that were very red but still standing before the patch. And this building that was not structurally sound is perfectly fine. I don't get it. I don't get it. Overall, very, very disappointed with this patch. How it came out. The features that are nice, but they're not overly usable. The slopes are nice. I'm very much liking the slopes. I will be playing with the angled hooks, the things like that. The 2 or 3 quality of life improvements are nice, but overall, the barbarians look different. No one cares. Some people are kind of playing around with them, but they could have played around with the old look. The survival mode is complete trash right now. I know it's early access, and I understand that. But I would have rather they put less time into that, like I've said, and more time into these other problems that do need fixing in the game modes that people really are playing and are going to play, than work on putting out trash. Keen, to me, they are always working on their games, but this is the first time where I feel like they've put out something that is trash and useless, and I don't want. Absolutely don't want. Anyway, I think that's the end of my rant. You've been listening to me go on and on long enough. Either way, I still recommend this game. Get into it, check it out, start building, be wary of structural integrity, especially with roof pieces and the floorboard pieces that are glitched out, because the floorboard pieces still are very much glitched out. Still cannot place a floorboard square here outside this tower without it crumbling. And very disappointed. Stupid little things like that aren't fixed, but what can you do? This is my just personal take on it. Sorry about the rant. Either way, thanks for checking it out. Make your own opinions. Catch you later.